Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moments. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Soul Land 2 Part 131 based on novel. So let's start. The destructive strength of a title Doluor's all-out strike was extremely terrifying. The giant hammer Doluor's abilities were unleashed to their greatest potential at this moment. At this moment, Hu Yuhao's expression suddenly changed greatly. His figure flashed before he charged in front of the giant hammer Doluor. He dragged his body as he rapidly tried to fly invertedly. A streak of dark red light pierced across at this instant. This streak of light was as thick as a water vat. When it swept past, everything around it was vaporized, and a large hole was all that was left over. Following that, an unprecedented and terrifying flow of origin energy was unleashed from that large hole instantly. Pathetic screams filled the air, and formless, avenging spirits started leaping towards everyone. The shattered star Doluor pushed his right hand forward, unleashing the power of shattered stars that tore both space and these avenging spirits apart. However, these avenging spirits were very powerful. Some of them survived the attack. Bright golden light flashed at this moment, and a holy aura was immediately released. The avenging spirits dissipated the moment they were exposed to this light, which was filled with a holy aura. Yi Gai lifted her right hand, and a white sword that was roughly a meter long appeared. It exuded burning, holy white light. It was her holy sword. However, a holy sword was only her fifth soul skill, and she was only a soul emperor. Compared to the shattered star Doluor's light of shattered stars, her soul skill was much weaker. However, her holy sword was extremely effective against the avenging spirits. Its effectiveness even surpassed that of the light of shattered stars. Hu Yuhao said to the shattered star Doluor, "Quick, let's go up quickly. It's too difficult to move within these mountain walls. He has already discovered our position. If he unleashes his full power, we're done." He clearly knew that the giant hammer Doluor's attack earlier had exposed his position. However, he was the only one whose position was exposed. This was why only a streak of the light of the death god was unleashed towards him. If it were the complete version of the light of the death god, they would have been completely engulfed. If not for the fact that the power of the light of the death god was greatly drained during its release, he might have been the only one who would survive the attack. However, this was also built on the premise that Di Qian was able to resist the attack. The giant hammer Doluor and shattered star Doluor wore a dismal expression on their faces right now. The shattered star Doluor released intense, purple light from his body, which turned into light strips that engulfed everyone and protected them. He took a step forward, and large plots of spaces started to collapse. Then, he carried everyone as they quickly charged out. At this point, booms started to resonate from outside. The title Doluor, who were mainly concentrated around the main mountain peak, made their moves. Even if they faced Soul Engineer legions, they were able to hang on for some time. Moreover, they didn't have any misgivings right now. They scattered. Against the Sun Moon Empire's Soul Engineer legions, they started to unleash their destructive soul skills. It was easier to destroy than to build. At this moment, more than 10 titled Doluor wreaked havoc with whatever abilities they had, causing the main peak of the Mingdo mountain range to descend into chaos. Those large soul tools installed on the mountain peak were completely ineffective. They couldn't be properly aimed at these titled Doluor, whereas the soul engineers from the Soul Engineer legions could only attack using whatever soul tools they had with them. They weren't able to cause any significant trouble against these titled Doluor, who were very swift. The scattered titled Doluor only had one target, the top of the mountain. Their mission this time was to destroy the death god. As long as it was destroyed, the rest of their enemies would be much easier to deal with. Furthermore, it was much more convenient for them to proceed towards any direction from the top of the mountain. This would aid them in causing further damages to their enemies' soul tools. Right now, there were already 2 titled Doluor who were silently creeping towards 2 of the biggest soul tools, under the guidance of Hu Yuhao's spiritual detection. They were both carrying explosive bombs. Boom! A ball of purple light blew apart at the top of the mountain. Following this ball of purple light led everyone from Shrek in their charge towards the mountain. The giant hammer Doluor's earlier strike was very effective. The moment they came out, everyone saw that the 10+ soul tools on the mountaintop had already been blown apart. Many of them were even damaged beyond repair. Hu Yuhao was silently heartbroken. As he was afraid of being struck by the death god, he didn't bring his Starlight Sapphire ring and Starlight Sapphire heart protecting mirror. Otherwise, he could have collected all these damaged soul tools. Even though they were broken, they were still worth a lot. The death god was far away. The rest were still slightly unaware, but Hu Yuhao, the giant hammer Dolor and shattered star Dolor had very acute senses. Their expressions changed the moment they came out. There was some kind of invisible pressure in the air that was limiting their spiritual senses. Not far forward, the death god was exuding dark red, bloody light that was only visible from close range. It was as if blood was flowing on the death god. There was even a fierce-looking face on it that was howling. What was even more astonishing was that there wasn't even anyone around. No Soul Master Legion was there to protect such an important soul tool. Even those large soul tools that had been destroyed weren't supervised by anyone. Everyone, be careful. The shattered star Dolor lifted his head to look at the death god and took a step forward. He lifted his light of shattered stars and protected everyone within it. The giant hammer Dolor was even more direct. He lifted his giant hammer and forcefully hammered it on the ground. This time, he didn't even require Hu Yuhao's spiritual detection before he managed to accurately locate the death god's position. The giant hammer Dolor released intense yellow light from his body. After he hammered the ground, his 6th soul ring shone brightly. Behind him, an identical giant hammer started to swing in the air before it also hammered the ground. A loud boom reverberated. The target was naturally the death god. However, it was at this moment that something weird occurred. A layer of thick, blood-red light was released from the death god. It wasn't targeted towards anyone, but was some sort of domain that had been built. The giant hammer Dolor's hammer quickly turned blood-red. After this, he groaned before he was flung into the air. A red hammer projection was also deflected from the ground and struck the giant hammer Dolor, causing him to fly several dozen meters away. The expected impact of the giant hammer Dolor's attack wasn't achieved. Whether it was the shattered star Dolor, Hu Yuhao, or the rest, their expressions immediately changed for the worse. The giant hammer Dolor was a titled Dolor. Although he wasn't a particularly strong titled Dolor, he had earned a reputation for himself through his strength. In addition, he was a rank 92 assault-type soul master. The weakest titled Dolor was still a titled Dolor. He actually had the tables turned on him, and was flung into the air. More frighteningly, neither the shattered star Dolor nor Hu Yuhao could figure out where the person who had dealt this blow to the giant hammer Dolor was. The shattered star Dolor's expression immediately changed as they were engulfed by blood-red light. He wasn't able to tear space apart amidst this blood-red light, which greatly restricted his destructive strength. The immense pressure that was placed on him even limited his ability to release his light of shattered stars. Something that was stronger than the shattered star Dolor. Evidently, the blood-red light wasn't unleashed by a soul tool, but a soul master. It was important to know that the shattered star Dolor was rather strong even in the realm of transcendent Dolor. According to Hu Yuhao's judgment, his cultivation was roughly comparable to the martial god Dolor, Jian Lina. He was among the top 5 soul masters in the Star Luo Empire. However, this unknown enemy had already completely restrained the shattered star Dolor before even appearing. What did this mean? This meant that the enemy wasn't just a transcendent Dolor. It also meant that the enemy's cultivation should also be miles above the shattered star Dolor's. It was too terrifying. The death god was most likely controlled by the death god Dolor. Did this mean that the death god Dolor was a transcendent Dolor? Did this mean that the death god could possibly be a class 10 soul engineer? The destructive strength of a class 10 soul engineer was unimaginable. I wondered who was able to breach my spiritual barrier. Turns out it's a little fellow who specializes in spiritual power. Just nice. My death god pagoda still lacks a powerful spirit to hold the fort. I'll adopt a few of you then. A figure slowly walked out of the blood-red light. Yes, this figure appeared out of thin air. When she appeared, the surrounding air evidently distorted. All the blood-red light supported her as she came into this world. It was a lady, or at least she seemed like a lady from her figure. Her voice was very raucous and sounded a little raspy. However, there was some kind of special, magical power to it. It made one feel close to her, and even idolize her. Hu Yuhao was slightly petrified, and quickly unleashed his spiritual power to protect the rest. He didn't want the others to be affected by her voice. You are really cautious. But, do I need my spiritual charm to kill all of you? What a joke. She continued stepping forward, and her soul rings started to rise. Everyone was shocked when they saw her soul rings. Her first soul ring was pitch black, and its dark glow showed that it was a 10,000-year soul ring. After this, soul ring after soul ring appeared. Black, 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 red, red and red. 6 10,000-year and 300,000-year soul rings appeared. Even the shattered star Dolor found it difficult to breathe due to her pressing aura after all her 9 soul rings appeared. It was everyone's first time seeing someone as powerful as her. When her last red soul ring appeared, Hu Yuhao believed that Di Qian was the only one who could resist her. Even his own teacher or Long Xiaoyao didn't even seem as strong as her. How is this possible? Only an ultimate Dolor was stronger than holy dragons. The Sun Moon Empire actually had another ultimate Dolor apart from Long Xiaoyao. Furthermore, she was very powerful and could even control the Death God Pagoda. The Sun Moon Empire's Death God Dolor was actually an ultimate Dolor and a Class 9 Soul Engineer. Her powers were already unbelievable. Perhaps Di Qian was the only being could be mentioned in the same breath as her in the entire continent. Their plan tonight wasn't considered perfect earlier. Hu Yuhao had even had to withstand a strike from the Death God. However, Hu Yuhao was a little relieved that they were able to arrive in front of the Death God Pagoda. After all, more than 10 titled Dolor had come with him this time. However, Hu Yuhao started to tense up again when he saw their enemy. Everyone knew that the Death God Dolor was very strong and mysterious. However, no one could have guessed that the Death God Dolor was an ultimate Dolor. An ultimate Dolor was the peak of existence. And an ultimate Dolor had actually appeared here. No wonder the Sun Moon Empire was so confident in their defense of the Mingdo mountain range. After scanning it from close range earlier, Hu Yuhao could already completely verify that the Sun Moon Empire only had 2 Soul Engineer legions here, as well as less than 20,000 ordinary soldiers, who were here to assist the Soul Engineers. However, it was these 20,000-odd people that managed to stall the advance of the Star Luo Empire's 100,000-man army and 8 Soul Master legions. This lady's appearance wasn't clear, as she was engulfed by a dark red veil. It was as if there were a layer of fog covering her face. Hu Yuhao's spiritual detection wasn't able to get within 30 meters of her. More accurately speaking, Hu Yuhao's spiritual detection had been completely suppressed after that blood-red domain appeared. Who are you? The Shattered Star Dolor asked. He was extremely astonished by the appearance of an ultimate Dolor. Only a true titled Dolor like him knew how difficult it was to rise by even 1 rank after becoming a titled Dolor. More than 95% of titled Dolor weren't able to get past the tier of a transcendent Dolor. Among transcendent Dolor, 99% of them couldn't become an ultimate Dolor. An ultimate Dolor was almost like a god. They were always recognized as humans that were closest to gods. They could truly become gods as long as they had an altar and underwent a special transformation. Someone like that actually existed in the Sun Moon Empire. Along with Long Xiaoyao, both of the known surviving ultimate Dolor actually belonged to the Sun Moon Empire. No wonder the Sun Moon Empire was confident enough to wage war and wanted to rule the entire Dolor continent. They indeed had a strong foundation. The Death God Dolor, along with the Death God, indeed represented the ultimate peak of existence. With her around, the Sun Moon Empire indeed didn't need too many soldiers. Who am I? You aren't even fit to ask. The mysterious lady replied indifferently. The Shattered Star Dolor took in a deep breath and said, Elder, I don't understand why you have to help the Sun Moon Empire to invade the other empires. Oh. The mysterious lady seemed to be stunned for a moment. The surrounding blood-red light also seemed to lighten a little as she calmed down. You must not come from the Sun-Moon Empire. Although I'm not sure how the Sun-Moon Empire managed to convince you to join them, everyone from the world of Soul Masters knows that the Sun-Moon Empire is different from the other three empires from the original Dolor continent because of their foundation and bloodline. It is indeed easier for those from the Sun-Moon Empire to experience improvements in the earlier stages of cultivation, and they will find it easier to digest all sorts of medicine too. However, their rate of cultivation will fall when a certain tier is reached, which is especially true when one becomes a titled Dolor. This is also why there hasn't been a transcendent Dolor in the Sun-Moon Empire for many years. I'm sure you aren't from the Sun-Moon Empire. You should be from one of the three empires. Since this is the case, why are you helping the Sun-Moon Empire invade your own empire? The Shattered Star Dolor asked. After hearing the Shattered Star Dolor's words, Hu Yuhao was also enlightened. This was something that he didn't even learn from Shrek Academy. Perhaps one would only know after becoming a titled Dolor. The Shattered Star Dolor's words were logical, but they were in a very disadvantageous situation right now, and an ultimate Dolor wouldn't be dissuaded so easily. Indeed, the mysterious lady laughed. Her laughter was very sharp. It was so sharp that it was unimaginable. The surrounding blood-red light turned into huge patches of waves. The Shattered Star Dolor's light of shattered stars started to rapidly disintegrate. He had no choice but to unleash streaks of his light of shattered stars with all his might to stabilize it. My empire? To me, that's a joke. Junior, which empire in the original Dolor continent can accommodate an evil soul master? No one will accommodate an evil soul master so easily. Those orthodox soul masters want to kill me the moment they see me. How dare you talk as if I belong to any empire? It's hilarious. It's really hilarious. You don't have to intentionally waste my time here either. I'm not in a rush at all. You can wait for everyone to come up first. As she spoke, this mysterious lady lifted her hand, and a streak of red light shot into the sky. Very soon, it turned into a blood-red peony that spread in the sky. The booms that came from the surroundings started to fade away. It was as if the Sun-Moon Empire's soul engineer legions had stopped their attack. After this, figures started to leap to the top of the mountain and gathered to where they were. These figures belonged to the titled Dolor from the Star Luo Empire. For the success of this plan, the Star Luo Empire had sent out a total of 12 titled Dolor. Every one of them was so powerful that they could fight by themselves. However, they were all silent when they ascended to the top of the mountain and saw the 9 soul rings that belonged to the mysterious lady. The abilities of truly powerful individuals weren't decided by quantity. It was even more so at such a tier. The mysterious lady's aura didn't change in the slightest as she was surrounded by 12 titled Dolor. All the titled Dolor couldn't help but lift their heads to look at the towering Death God Pagoda. They clearly knew that they had to overcome this mysterious lady before they could destroy the Death God Pagoda. Only with the destruction of the Death God Pagoda could the Star Luo Empire's troops rush over and take the Mingdo mountain range back. Is everyone here? The mysterious lady laughed coldly. All the titled Dolor summoned their soul power. Even though they were 12 against 1, they were facing an indomitable enemy. They were facing an ultimate Dolor. How would they dare to be complacent? Hu Yuhao also took in a few deep breaths. His spiritual power circulated, and his eye of destiny opened. After this, he quickly walked to the side of the Shattered Star Dolor and shouted, "Elder, don't make a move first. I have a few words to say." "Oh? You're an interesting young fellow. A really rare breed. Given your abilities as a soul sage, you actually possess spiritual power corresponding to that of a titled Dolor. You are a very rare spiritual type soul master. It's interesting. Don't worry, I won't kill you. After I kill them and adopt you, I'll make you do my bidding. In the future, I'll nurture you into a one-of-a-kind spiritual type soul master." Hu Yuhao sighed and said, "Elder Yi, why do you have to do this? Are you really willing to see the entire continent decimated as a result of war just because of your own personal pain?" The mysterious lady was shocked when she heard the words Elder Yi. "Who are you? How do you know my surname is Yi? Her voice suddenly sounded a little pathetic. Following this, she lifted her right hand and made a grabbing motion at Hu Yuhao. Her hand looked very weird. Her palm and fingers were smooth and white, as if they belonged to a 16 or 17-year-old teenager. However, her fingernails were dark red, and resembled an eagle's talons. They looked especially terrifying. As she grabbed at the air, a huge bloody claw instantly surfaced in front of the light of shattered stars. All the title Dolor who were present were already prepared. When they saw this mysterious lady making a move, they immediately reacted, and unleashed all sorts of soul skills towards her. There were those that were directly targeted towards her, while others targeted the bloody claw. However, something terrifying happened. The blood-red light that filled the sky distorted the moment the mysterious lady made her move. The soul skills that were targeted towards her deviated from their original trajectory and scattered all around. None of them had any effect. The shattered star Dolor shouted, and spots of purple starlight were released from his body in an attempt to stop the bloody claws. However, he experienced the same thing as the rest. When that bloody claw reached them, the blood-red light immediately distorted, and the purple starlight was pushed to one side in the distortion. It didn't have its intended effect on the bloody claw. When the bloody claw clashed with the light of shattered stars, the light of shattered stars seemed to have been devoured. It directly disappeared. Following this, that bloody claw landed above Hu Yuhao and grabbed his body. As the blood-red light flashed, that bloody claw had already turned into a ball of light that had completely engulfed Hu Yuhao and pulled him to the side of the mysterious lady. In the meantime, everyone from Shrek Academy wanted to help, but all the soul skills they used slid off the blood-red light the moment they touched it. They didn't have any effect at all. Everyone knew that an ultimate Dolor was the highest level that one could reach. However, one could only see how strong an ultimate Dolor was when truly facing one. 12 title Dolor actually couldn't stop the mysterious lady from grabbing Hu Yuhao. She still managed to bring him to her. However, Hu Yuhao was very smart. He knew that he had no way of resisting her, thus he didn't even try at all. He let the mysterious lady grab him. It was not to say that the soul power of an ultimate Dolor was comparable to 12 title Dolor. That was impossible. After all, these 12 title Dolor included 2 transcendent Dolor. In terms of total soul power, they were naturally above her. However, these 12 title Dolor would be completely incompetent if they really had to fight her. Just now, she didn't even clash with any of them and only used her strength to easily dispose of their attacks. The Shattered Star Dolor had it the worst. He was the most adept at controlling space, but he knew that the power that this lady had just unleashed wasn't just some kind of power that evil soul masters possessed. Instead, she exhibited exquisite control of time and space. His own control was actually beneath hers. She was too terrifying. Tell me. How do you know my surname is Yi? There aren't many people in this world that know who I am. The mysterious lady said coldly. Hu Yuhao was drifting in front of her right now. Everyone knew that Hu Yuhao was doomed if she decided to lay her hands on him. However, he actually laughed at this moment. His smile was even very calm. His gentle grin showed that he wasn't agitated at all. Senior Yi, I'm not wrong, your name should be Yi Shishui. Hu Yuhao's words had her full attention. Who exactly are you? How did you know that? The mysterious lady tightened her grip. Suddenly, the blood-red light that was tightly grabbing onto Hu Yuhao also pushed inward. Hu Yuhao's bones started to make cracking sounds. Hu Yuhao furrowed his brow, but he didn't groan at all. He calmly said, "My name is Hu Yuhao. My teacher is Mu Yen." Mu Yen? The dragon god Dolor, Mu Yen? Everyone from the Star Luo Empire was shocked when they heard this name. It was the last master of the Sea God's Pavilion, the ultimate Dolor and Dragon Dolor, Mu Yen. He was one of the twin holy dragons of Black and White, a truly powerful individual on the continent. After hearing Mu Yen's name, they were at first astonished before they were in awe. Mu Yen had once made an important contribution to the peace of the continent and protected Shrek Academy all the way until his death. He was indeed one of the most notable honorary elders of the world of soul masters. When the mysterious lady heard his name, it was as if she had been struck by lightning. She shuddered a little, and the red light dissipated, causing Hu Yuhao to fall to the ground. "You are his disciple? But how did you recognize me? Even he wouldn't recognize me if he stood in front of me. Moreover, he's already dead. He's already dead." She was almost shouting the last few words, sounding a little hysterical. However, her words had undoubtedly verified her own identity. She was Yi Shishui, the woman once pursued by the twin holy dragons of black and white. She had once had a sentimental relationship with Mu En, which eventually ended tragically. The love and enmity they shared were never forgotten by Mu En even when he was on his deathbed. It was the biggest regret of his entire life. Hu Yuhao stood up and said, "Senior Yi, of course I don't recognize you. I definitely haven't seen you before. The only reason why I can guess your identity is because of your cultivation. How many people in this world are capable of becoming an ultimate Doluo? Even Elder Xian and Dubuzi are still one step away. Only my teacher and the Dragon Emperor Doluo Long Xiaoyao are ultimate Doluo. Since you are an ultimate Doluo and your aura and cultivation seem to be superior to my teacher, this limits the range of people that I can guess from. When you mentioned that you were an evil soul master, and recalling that Elder Long Xiaoyao is from the Holy Ghost Church, I immediately knew who you were. I'm afraid you're the only one who can convince Elder Long Xiaoyao to serve the Holy Ghost Church. It's only you who can become an ultimate Doluo even though you're an evil soul master, since you're from the same generation from my teacher and Elder Long Xiaoyao. It's just that I didn't expect you to be the death god Doluo of the Sun Moon Empire." His analysis caused all the title Doluo from the Star Luo Empire to turn dismal. Someone who was from Mu En and Long Xiaoyao's generation and became an ultimate Doluo as an evil soul master was a character that they couldn't possibly resist. No wonder she wasn't afraid of the 12 of them coming together. She wanted to take all of them down. Yi Shishui quickly turned emotional, but she calmed down very quickly too. "Little fellow, you are clever. No wonder you've already achieved so much at such a tender age. You're actually Mu En's disciple? Good, very good. Although I hate him a lot, I love him a lot too. On his account, I'll let you off today. I won't kill you. However, don't let me see you again. I'm feeling good today. I'm only thinking of all his good qualities. If you let me see you again and I only think of his flaws, you'll be dead. Thank you, Elder, for sparing me." Hu Yuhao slightly bowed towards Yi Shishui. After that, he turned around and walked towards the Star Luo Empire. At this moment, a blood-red claw suddenly appeared behind Hu Yuhao and grabbed his neck. Hu Yuhao suddenly felt a strong sense of breathlessness and his soul power started to surge ferociously. He tried to resist, and his diamond ice crystals immediately surfaced. Everyone from Shrek Academy was shocked. Tang Wutong shouted, "Didn't you say you wouldn't kill him?" He. Yi Shishui suddenly chuckled, and her laughter was very sinister. "Yes. I didn't want to kill him just now, but I suddenly thought of how Mu En ended our relationship. I detest him. Since his disciple is here to find me, why shouldn't I kill him? Mu En is already dead. I wonder what his reaction will be when he finds out that I killed his disciple. Little fellow, you can only blame yourself for choosing the wrong teacher." Ha 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 ha. As she spoke, the blood-red claws started to clench up, trying to squeeze Hu Yuhao to death. Mad. Everyone had the same thought in their mind. Yes. Yi Shishui was indeed mad. Her emotions fluctuated unstably, and she was capricious. She didn't have the demeanor of an elder at all. "Yuhao?" Everyone from Shrek Academy shouted at the same time. At this point, Hu Yuhao's body dimmed slightly, and he seemed to have turned into a ball of black air. Just as the claws clenched up, he disappeared before reappearing 10 meters away. He was back to his human form. It was just that he had completely changed after he reappeared. His hair had grown much longer, and it had turned completely black. His skin was extremely pale, and his eyes were colorless. They were actually engulfed by golden light. His eye of destiny shut and disappeared. A streak of golden hair fell to his chest, which was the only other color apart from black and white throughout his entire body. Not only this, but his aura experienced an even greater change. Although he was calmly standing where he was, he seemed like a giant beast. Intense, black light emanated from his body, and the surrounding blood-red light dissipated in the presence of this black glow, even though it wasn't very strong. "Who are you?" Yi Shishu looked coldly at Hu Yuhao. Given her power, how could she not tell that the person in front of her was no longer Hu Yuhao? Just from the terrifying aura, she had no choice but to calm herself down and face him. "Yi Shishui? It's actually this name. Very good, I didn't expect a human to reach such a cultivation on the continent. Even I couldn't help but be interested in you. Although I'm not in my true form, I'll make you pay for the 9 soul rings you have. 300,000-year soul beasts and 6 10,000-year soul beasts. You're good." Hu Yuhao's voice had turned much deeper. As he spoke, the air would vibrate with every word he said. The blood-red light that was quickly gathering towards him rapidly dissipated. Everyone from the Star Luo Empire was dumbfounded as they watched from afar. Only an ultimate Doluo could fight another ultimate Doluo. Hu Yuhao could actually transform into an ultimate Doluo. Everything they were seeing was beyond their imagination. Was Hu Yuhao actually possessed by the dragon god Doluo Mu Yen? As Hu Yuhao spoke, he had already lifted up his right hand and mimicked a grabbing action towards Yi Shishui. At the same time, the highest mountain peak of the Mingdo mountain range started to resonate with dragon roars. In the sky, dark clouds started to gather. The space in front of Yi Shishui shattered, and a huge black dragon claw appeared in front of her, reaching for her. Yi Shishui was also very impressive. She clasped her hands in front of her before a giant blood-red projection appeared. This projection was in human form, but it had 12 blood-red wings. As they flapped at the same time, her right hand performed a downward swiping action. Suddenly, a streak of blood appeared in front of her and blocked the black claws. Clang! The mountain peak shook, and terrifying air currents spread towards the outside, with the core of it being the point of collision. Black and blood-red light surged at the same time and spread out. The soul tools that were originally scattered everywhere were all dragged into the air. This video will end here.